Okay, so I'm back. Obviously, this is my Penelope Featherington semi-cosplay. I'm filming this on the same day that I did the other video. If you want to know my thoughts on the promotional campaign so far, Cassidy vs. Polin, debacle, all that type of stuff, go there. But for today, I'm going to be talking about, in particular, two theories that I have that I haven't seen anybody else say. So I'm excited about it. I originally was going to refrain from doing this until both the teaser and the full trailer for Bridgerton Season 3 were out, because that will help me with my timeline, fill in a lot of gaps. Like, I will be able to figure out much more once we have that, but then it occurred to me that by the time we get that content, some of these theories might already be debunked. And I just kind of want to put them out there because I want to talk about it. I like reading theories, I like speculating, so I want to share these and also hear from people what they think about it, what their own theories are, what their own speculations are, things of that nature. And for this video, the two theories that I'm going to talk about, there's a lot that goes into me thinking that these theories are plausible. There's a lot of evidence that I have, but I'm going to wait to really put that in until my timeline dissection, where I get into it and really analyze it. So just know that for everything that I say, there is a good reason why I think that. It's backed up by some evidence. My first theory has to do with the Moonlight scene that we've seen, 0.2 seconds of, we've seen a picture of, we've seen pictures seemingly taking place on the same day. The infamous Moonlight scene that hasn't even happened, and yet it's infamous. Everyone thinks this will be the first kiss. I don't think that. I have a really hard time believing that, because while we have had 2 seasons of build-up for Penelope and Colin, it hasn't been of a romantic or sexual nature, at least reciprocally. So they need build up to that time, and episode 2 is very early to be doing that. And of course, there's a lot of stuff that can happen after a kiss. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I just don't see it. I just don't think it'll be happening that early. I think there's gonna need to be more build up, more realization, more time. A lot more things need to happen before that happens. Also, where we're gonna end in episode 1, I bet you, is the Lady Danbury ball. I bet that's gonna be the last interaction, or one of the last interactions that Colin and Penelope have in episode 1. So if that's the emotional and psychological state that we're leaving off in episode 1, there's a lot that needs to happen in episode 2. And we know that there is a lot that happens in episode 2. We have a lot of different stills. We have the market still, we have the lessons, we have the letter opener scene, we have the ball, and we have the Moonlight scene. So all of that takes place in episode 2. It got me thinking, and I was like, okay, well, in order for all of this to start happening, the clip where they're where he's giving her lessons, there needs to be a grovel/apology. And I know a lot of people think that this is a kiss because of how emotional their faces are. But once I thought about it, I was like, no, because what if this is just Colin coming to apologize? He's begging on his knees for forgiveness. He's groveling. And both of them are truly, genuinely very emotional about this, because he really feels bad, and she can really tell that he feels bad, and she's touched by how much he cares about her. That makes sense to me, and there's almost a look of potential surprise on her face, and then the way that he ambles forward, I can just see that being the case. And another thing that added to that, we have a picture of Penn in the same outfit and same hair earlier in the day, it seems. Either, I guess it could be the morning after this night, but I would venture to guess it's the day beforehand. And then I started thinking, I was like, okay, so we have that picture of angry Colin. Have no idea whether it's actually related. It probably isn't, but it got my head spinning. So we have that picture of angry Colin holding a whistle down. So what if Penn writes either about whatever happens at the Lady Danbury ball that she's embarrassed about, or what Colin said about her? Because she did write about that in the book, so it would be plausible that she would write about it in the show. He's already feeling bad, and he's like, I have to make this up to her. And he's angry to hear Lady Whistledown disparaging his friends. So he is like, I have to go over there now. So he goes to call on her. And then what if she's like, no? What if she doesn't let him call on her? And then he waits. And then he waits all day. I don't even know how many hours it would be, but he waits until nighttime. And he's just been there the entire time, around there, waiting, trying, proving his devotion. And Penn, for one reason or another, whether he throws a pebble or she just wants some air, she walks out into the garden, her garden, and is shocked to see him. And very touched, because it shows that he really wants to talk to her, and he's really sorry, and he's willing to put in the work. And he's truly upset about hurting her and all that type of stuff. I think that alone, plus a good speech from him, would do so much. That act alone is such a good way to establish his state of mind for both of those characters without it taking up a lot of time. So I think that's a definite possibility. And I think it could be that conversation that he's basically like, I'll help you find a husband. You talked about being a spinster. Like, I'll do anything I can to help you with your confidence. Like, whatever he says. Who knows? And then the rest of the episode is, you know, all the other scenes that we see. The market, the lessons, the letter opener, the ball at the end. Like, I think that is absolutely going to be the timeline. So I actually think it's the beginning of the episode. A lot of people think this will be the episode ender. I would venture to guess it might be toward the beginning of the episode. So that's my first theory. But I haven't seen anybody else really say, so I think it could work. Knowing me, it won't. It will be so wrong and incorrect, and I'll be a clown. But it works. It makes sense, narratively. Now, my second theory has to do with a carriage. In general, I highly doubt, and it's funny because I see people on, like, Reddit talking about, like, oh, this must be the cliffhanger at the end of episode 4, must be the Colin finding out she's Lady Whistledown, hookup, and engagement. And I'm just like, sweet summer children, like, it probably won't be. Like, I just really have a hard time believing that all those things are going to happen at the exact same time in the exact same way that they happened in the book. If I had to guess, I bet the cliffhanger is Colin finding out about Lady Whistledown, and that's where episode 4 ends, and then we have the break. It's like, oh my god, what's this going to do? What makes sense narratively to me is that they're at a high. So whatever that means, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. But whether it's, you know, say they have had their first kiss and now Colin's realizing he reciprocates these feelings and they're both on a high, they're on top of the world, and then just as they're about to be together and everything's going to be perfect and this is solved, then the Lady Whistledown comes in and just smashes it up. You know what I mean? It takes them right back down. So it's like, it really interferes with that. And it's like, oh, we were about to have it. And then this came in and just complicated everything. And now the future is uncertain. Like, the path used to be clear, but now with this added element, I have no idea what this is going to look like. And then the second half of the season is kind of navigating that. The way that they're talking about the carriage scene, you know, it sounds like it is going to happen. I still am skeptical. I'm literally scarred from season 2, because, like, the way that they talked about certain things leading up to season 2 were very misleading. And then it was like nothing like that at all. And then I was like, okay, cool. Or if it was very much like a nod. It was like, oh, we're gonna include this one detail from the book as a wink wink, but it's completely different. Everything else about it is completely different, you know what I mean? So either they're pivoting and going more true to the source material, which I would be fine with. The first half of Romancing Mr. Bridgerton anyway, I think could translate pretty easily to screen. It's the second half that I'm really not sure about, especially since they have made so many changes with Lady Whistledown and incorporating the Queen. I think this whole second half of the book might be completely different. It might be nothing like the book. I would not be surprised if they changed everything about the Lady Whistledown part of it. But regardless of them talking about the carriage so much and, like, Nicola talking about the scene that she watched, like, I'll believe it when I see it. I just don't know that they're gonna have an actual carriage scene like in the book. They might be in a carriage together. And that might be the scene, but I don't think it's gonna be exactly the scene from the book. There has to be some changes. You know what I mean? It's an adaptation. You have to change things. And I just highly doubt that all of these things are gonna be the exact same. And again, when I was working off of season 2, like, I was working off the framework of the book. So then I was so unbelievably wrong about the season because they didn't go off the book at all. Like, the timeline was completely different. Like, everything was changed. So any of my predictions that were informed by my knowledge of the book were just totally incorrect. But here's the thing. This is partially informed by a filming video that I saw with 2 carriages. If you don't like knowing that, then maybe click off at this point. But there is a video where it's basically what seems to be Colin's carriage and what seems to be Queen Charlotte's carriage. Colin pulls up behind Queen Charlotte, a royal footman gets out, a Bridgerton footman opens the door for the royal footman to look inside Colin's carriage, and that's kind of like the scene that we see play out. Once I saw that video, then certain things that hadn't been making sense to me before, I could see a way where they could make sense. And the combining element of, like, the Lady Whistledown plot and the Polin plot, purely, this incorporates both. Again, it's probably wrong, but I think it has potential, if you know what I mean. Because also these things, I'm like, can't you just see it? Can't you just see these things? Basically, my thought is that he's gonna find out she's Lady Whistledown at the end of episode 4. And then simultaneously, Queen Charlotte, you know, she's been on the hunt for Lady Whistledown before. She'll do it again. She's actually spent the first 2 seasons hunting for her. So say she has a royal footman or the royal carriage or whatever follow Penelope to the printer's press, however they figure it out. And it ends up being that, like, Colin and Penelope are arguing over this or having that confrontation over him finding out she's Lady Whistledown. And then they realize that Queen Charlotte's carriage, Queen Charlotte's team is following them. You have to obey that, so they have to open the door. What if Colin then realizes what's about to happen? And he realizes that Penelope's about to be, like, ruined, like, badly, in a very different way than just, like, societally or debutante-wise, because of being Lady Whistledown. And this is the queen that would be finding out. So what if Colin decides that the only way to save her is to ruin her? And so then he kisses her. And that's why they're kissing. It's not because of heated passion or anything like that. He's literally doing it to save her ass. And then the footman opens the door and is like, oh, sorry, wasn't what I thought it was. So it leads them off the scent of the Lady Whistledown. Them being in a scandalous hookup could explain a lot of things that otherwise couldn't be explained other than by her being Lady Whistledown. Them being in this part of town, like, all those sus things about it could be explained by them hooking up. And it's just such a classic. Like, that gives rom-com to me. Talk about a rom-com. How many times have you seen that? And it eats every time. I'm sorry. To me, it eats every single time. Every single time. I don't know if this will be it, because I'm trying to think about, like, would that be their first kiss, though? Like, I don't think so. I wouldn't love for their first kiss to be that. But can't you just see it? Can't you just see it? Can't you see the vision? And then from that point forward, then they're, like, you know, in a forced engagement, which I know some people don't want. But they're engaged, and then a bunch of stuff for the second part of season 2 that I am still struggling to wrap my mind around or come up with anything that feels like it could be true to me. But can't you just see both of those? Can't you just see them? I'm sorry. I just think there's a little evidence to back it up, and I think it's a possibility. So let me know what you think of these theories, and give me your theories down below. And I will see you for yet another Bridgerton video very soon. Bye!